Hey LEGO fans, welcome back to the channel. As you can see today, we're updating our MILS plates. I'm Jeremy and you're watching Sherwood Forest Bricks. Now if you remember a while back, we built these and I did a short video on the MILS standard, and I will put the link down below to where I found the standard so that you can have the same information I have. And I have gotten the question a few times of why is this better than, say, a standard base plate? Well, you can't really get these anymore. LEGO stopped producing road plates. They now produce the tiles or the brick modified 16 by 16 by 2/3 road based plate, essentially. So you can't use those kind of base plates anymore, but you can still find them, of course. But still, there's a significant additional cost when you want to go to something like this versus a standard base plate, or even using the standard plates themselves. And the reason why I use these is because I can build a similar plate to hold the base plate for the Creator Modulars, or the Creator Expert Modular series, that holds the same level sidewalk as this. This is basically 2 bricks and a plate or tile on the top, and that keeps it the same level. And then it allows me to drop the road down 2 plates so that I have a curb, if you will. And then, of course, it's a typical SNOT construction for the assembly themselves. If I pull one of these up real quick, and most of the time these things stay stuck down. But you can see here, it's basically a SNOT on the side, and then this is that 2/3 brick that I was talking about. Now, the plan calls for using a 8 by 16 tile, which are ridiculously expensive. And these are far cheaper. Now, the only thing different is obviously these are 2/3 brick versus the tile is a 1/2 plate. Or excuse me, it's a plate. So I had to modify my little structure here. But it wasn't really a big deal. But that allows me to have a narrow line on the edge for a painted line on the curb, or such as the center dash line, instead of the big thick lines that you would on the tiles. And because they're standard plates themselves, I can change them out. These can be white, these can be yellow. I could do a red gutter. I could do the whole gutter in red with red plates here, so to signify a fire hydrant. It just allows more flexibility on what I can build. And then I'm also, because this is basically a 2/3 brick, I could have a plate in place, like an 8 by 16 plate or something of that nature, and then tile over the top of it and have a variety of designs. So I could do a sidewalk with thicker tile lines, etc. And then you'll see at a later date, I do have a rail crossing at some point. So I will probably do something of that nature where it's an 8 by 8 plate with a tile work on the top or something like that. That just gives me that flexibility. But why did we want to go from this to something new? Well, this on the edge of the layout, or the edge of the shelf, just kind of was like abandoned out there. Didn't really see the need to put people out there because it's on the edge. So I wanted to do something different. I wanted to bring in some greenery, and I wanted to bring in the multi-purpose road assembly. The entire concept really is to make this roadway carry as multiple varieties of traffic as possible. So bicycles, pedestrians, buses, cars, etc. was my goal. So basically I changed it a little bit. This is exactly the same assembly on the one side. It's just I replaced the tile work with a drop down plate, and so it's grass area. Now you could do that in regular green, you could do it in brown, or you could do it in tan if you wanted to. So if you did it in tan, you could decorate it with some gray tiles and look like rock work, or yeah, you do a variety of things. You do olive, so it would look more of a fall colorish. I did keep the curb look because there's typically curbs on roadways. And then on this side, I wanted to include the bike path, so I replaced the one tile essentially, because this is a 5 wide area. I replaced one set of tiles 2 by 2 with the bike path, and to do that, it's all on the same. If I can pull this up without breaking it into a million pieces. So you can see underneath, it's all using brackets to hold that in place. So once these are built and put down, they're relatively strong. They can be kind of weak when you're putting them together, but once they're down as a piece. And then also I added a tile on below the 2/3 to add more structural rigidity to the MILS plate itself. So that's what I ended up with. Now, like I said before, we are going to do that facade on the side. I've come up with an idea and the design, but I've ordered some of the parts for it, but I haven't really finalized what I want to do. So that that is something coming up in the future we'll have to finish off the edge. And then on the sidewalk side, I left studs here. It's basically a 2x2 plate modified with 2 studs. That way, excuse me. That way we can attach the standards for the monorail, or the stanchion structures. What am I saying? Towers for the monorail track. Well, let's go pop these in the city and take a look and see what everything looks like. All right, well, here we go. This is the MILS plates all set up into the city now. We just basically took the old ones out and replaced them with the new version. So you can see here we have a little green boulevard at the edge there and the bike path. And then, of course, that road right there we didn't change or modify. So that's exactly what they used to look like. And we're still maintaining the crossing walk, etc. And we even have a bicyclist utilizing the bike lane already. And then, of course, I was able to get enough in that these 2 spaces in the backs allow us to add more modular buildings. So we'll get that done as well. Let me know what you think with the MILS plates. And then, of course, we got the monorail, as I've been calling it. Even though it uses roller coaster track and there's 2 rails, I'm still going to keep referring to it as monorail just because it's a lot easier. But anyways, got that put in. It just clicks under the studs that are on the MILS plate itself and then goes right along. We did have to modify a little bit here so that the firehouse vehicle could still come in and out. Not a big deal since there are 4 long tracks available on the roller coaster track. And then the modified towers that I built, I do like them in the dark blue, and it gives us enough height that the vehicles can cross underneath it. And of course I did a dark orange girder style bridge to cross the road. And then I left myself a little bright light orange tile so that I could print a decal for a low bridge or the bridge height. Let me know what you feel about that. How do you think that turned out? How do you feel about the whole building as a whole? Does the monorail detract from the facades of the buildings themselves? I did kind of want to do the monorail so that it adds a little bit more of a cluster look, that L feeling from old. But I don't know. Let me know what you feel, how you think it looked, how it turned out, etc. Should I add another level? Now, obviously, both the cafe corner and the firehouse, fire brigade, have that second level, so they do stand up a little higher. Do I need to add an additional level? Of course, we still need to do the detective office and Al's barbershop, an additional layer in there. But what do you think? Do we need to go more vertical with the buildings now that we have the train in there? And of course, I don't have the train built yet, so that's not even in the scene. But what do you think? I like it. I like where it's going. And we do have the parts on order to finish off this fascia right here so that you won't see that. And I'm stealing another of the MILS plate standard edge detail, and you'll see that at a later date. All right, well, I think the changes look pretty good. I'm gonna keep going with that concept. I really do like the new road. I think the green really changes the overall look of the city. It's gonna allow a lot more greenery to be brought in. There was no area for trees, etc. before. Now that I put the monorail there, I really can't bring in some big conifers or deciduous trees, etc. But we can do some sort of shrubbery, etc. down here on the greenery. And that'll break up the edge as well as the facade that we're going to build. So going forward, I did want to originally put one of the sections to have embedded rail so that I could do a motorized tramway or like trolley. So I may do that in the future as well. But just because these are they can pop in and pop out, it's pretty easy to change them out if I decide to. I'm also thinking about, instead of having the white dash line in the middle, because it'd be more appropriate to have a, especially on how it's acting as a main thoroughfare for the time being, doing a solid yellow and a dash line so that cars can pass each other if they need to be, but it's indicating more than they're staying lane. I wasn't able to include any way to park because of my limited width, so I couldn't add parking areas, and I did keep the lanes to about 9 wide, which tends to work out well for 8 wide vehicles. Even the 6 wide vehicles, they're typically a smaller car. Here in the US, we do have wider lanes in most of the newer communities, so I felt that was appropriate. And so I didn't want to narrow them down any further and try and add a parking lot or parking space. And I didn't want to add a curb between the bike path and the roadway, but I did want to give the bike path some sort of designated area. So that's why I did that the way I did it. As we get further along in the city, I do have a spot where there's going to be a larger roadway that's going to cross, and I'm probably going to include some train tracks in there. I haven't really come up with a way of doing it yet. Kind of I want to try and figure out how to do a station between the monorail and ground-based transport, such like that. So look for that coming up in the near future. But that's pretty much all I have for you today. Thanks for tuning in. Shoot a comment down below. What do you think of the MILS plates? Do you use a MILS standard? What kind of roadways do you use? I should say. And of course, we always like reading your comments. So thanks for tuning in. And as always, like and subscribe, and we'll see you next time. Take care, everyone.